Welcome to the second part of how to draw a residential street in a small town in one-point perspective. For this part, we're going to be drawing the windows and possibly doors in the parallel sides of the buildings, and that's going to be a lot easier because instead of lining them up at the vanishing points, they have to be basically squared up with the sides and bottom of the end of the house that they're on. So I'm going to make the windows in this side of the house the same basic height as the windows on the front. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to just line it up with the corner of this window, just a faint line across to mark where the bottom of the other windows are going to be. And the same thing with the top. And I'll try to get these lines as parallel to the bottom of the house as I can. And then I want to mark where all these are going to be and how they're going to be spaced, and I have two of them. And so this will be the space in the middle between the two of them, and this will be the space on the end, and then that'll help me to space them more evenly. So I'll use my ruler again. It's easier to get a nice straight line if you use a ruler. And I'll draw the vertical lines and try to get them as parallel to the sides of the paper as I can. I'll make that one darker. That shadow that my ruler is casting is making it a little bit harder to see what I'm doing. So those are the sides of the windows. And then I'm going to darken up the top and the bottom. Okay, now all I have to do is put the details in, and with these I'm going to make shutters. So I'm going to make, again I'm going to mark like where the width of the shutters are going to be. I'm trying to get them the same size. I mean, I could measure, but it doesn't really need to be that precise. And then I'm going to just draw the lines down using my ruler. And if I back it away this way, then I can see if my ruler is parallel to the line before it, and it helps me to get a parallel line. Like that. All right, now I can go into a lot more detail with these. Since I didn't really do that with the rest of them, I'm not going to right now, but maybe later. Okay, so in the second house with the 2 stories, I will line up with the top and bottom of this window. For the upstairs window. And let's see, I'm going to maybe, okay, here's the middle again. And I'm going to put one here and then one over here. And so part of this window will actually be overlapped by the house that's there. And then I'll draw my vertical lines for the sides of the windows. And then I'll draw the tops and bottoms of the windows. And I can put shutters on those too, since I actually put one on the front here, so I'm going to do that. So I'll mark the width again. And then I'll go ahead and draw that line in with my pencil. Oh, that looks pretty bad. There you go. And make this one. Okay. And then I'm going to make maybe a bigger window down here, or maybe not. I think I'll just make 2 windows, just the same height as these. And so light line across. And then I think I'll just space them the same way. Just make them the same window almost. Although I see that the ones upstairs are taller, that's all right. I'm trying to keep my lines as straight as possible and parallel where they need to be. And then the other window is going to be behind this building. And I can go down and I could do all of the other windows too. But I think that now that you've seen how to do it, you don't really need me to just keep demonstrating the same thing over and over again. You could put a door in the end and do it the same way that I did the windows. So this is basically doing the windows and doors in the parallel side. Next is to lay out the front yard and the sidewalk and the terrace. So I've kind of measured with my eye about how much front yard I want there, and it can vary depending on your picture and what you want. But this is about how much I'm going to leave for these houses. And I'll put my ruler on the vanishing point, make sure that when it comes past this house, it's about how wide I want the front yard to be. And then I will draw my line like that. All right, next is the sidewalk. And so again, I judge my width by what it looks like in relation to this house right here. And then put my ruler on the vanishing point. Then for the terrace, which is often more narrow than the front yard, but in this case, it's about the same. And again, always draw down from the vanishing point. And then I just need a little space that's going to be the curve. All right, doesn't look like much yet. All right, driveway is next. And since the driveways are going to be going this direction, they're going to be just straight across. They're not going to be lined up with a vanishing point. And so I'll draw my line for my driveway up until I get to the end of the sidewalk, and I'll stop. And then I'll move my ruler down. And again, or I can draw from back here too. I just want to go to the edge of the sidewalk, and then I want to stop. That's how I want to do it. And I could go all the way down and do a driveway like that for every house if I wanted to, and I might do that. So stop at the sidewalk. Stop at the sidewalk right there. And then like this one. All right. Well, it looks like I made that line a little bit crooked. Stop at the sidewalk. And stop at the sidewalk. And, well, I can fix that. And then when I go back and put details in, I can actually cover that up. So here's my last one now. And remember to always stop at the end of the sidewalk. or the outer edge of the sidewalk, I should say. So that's what we have now. Now when the sidewalk goes down to the street, it slants, and it usually starts that at the edge of the sidewalk and does that out to the curb. And so first thing I'll do, I think, is I'm going to just decide on the angle I want it to slant at. And I'll draw my line just down to there, not all the way across, like that. And I will do the same thing on this side, like that. All right, now make the vertical lines for the curve. And then I have another line that goes from here to here, because as you see the sidewalk or the driveway slant down, this part gets bigger, thicker. And so next thing I'll have to do is erase some lines, because there's a lot of lines that I don't need now. Okay. And I do the same thing all the way down with the others. So, and I might as well just keep it at the same slant, I would think. So draw it out at the slant. And then right at the end of the line, draw your vertical line for the curb. Then draw a line that slants from that line to the edge of the sidewalk, from the bottom of the curb to the edge of the sidewalk, like that. And then erase the lines. A lot of times it's good to erase the lines as you go along. The more lines that are left hanging around that you don't need, the more confusing this whole thing gets. And then the same thing down here. Like that. Okay, and then I have some more lines to erase. I think they can get smaller erasers in this. So basically you have the basic laid out front yard, driveway, sidewalk, terrace, and curb. And that's how that would go. The next thing are the lines across the sidewalk. And I've already gone and put down marks where I want each line to be. And I tried to make it proportional to what the space is between these two lines. I just decided that was a block. But you know, it might not be actually that way in real life in some places or whatever. There's ways that you can space these lines that are like more mathematically correct. And I can show you that too, but I don't think that's necessary for all the drawings that you would do. You just kind of try to make the spaces between them get smaller as it goes back into the distance. All right, now I'll start with this line and I'll put on this mark. And for this to look right, it has to be parallel to the top and the bottom of the paper. The best way to do it is to try doing it this way. You can see there, that's about right. And I just need to draw it right across there like that. Okay. Now as you go up and you draw more lines, you want to keep them all horizontal, all parallel to the top and the bottom of the paper. And if you do that, it's going to really contribute to the look of depth in your perspective drawing. See, this is what I have so far. And I'll go up here, got another mark. Oh, right there. Oops. That's another thing you have to watch is the ruler can slip and throw off your line and so on. And these I think I'll just like that. So if you can see, that starts to make it look like the sidewalk is flat and coming down. And if I had the lines going that way, obviously it would look more like a fence.